Sorry.
Here we go. It's gonna be the first thing they hear. I hope you know that.
15 peeps.
Oh. I'll be back in a second. Someone's calling me.
All right. Looks like we got one more person joining still. Armando's audio does not work, but okay, cool. So welcome back to the third meeting of the semester for ACM. So this week we're going to be talking really about class schedules and how to pick classes and stuff like that. This is really cool if you're my mentee because I do this already with you, so I don't have to do this with you next time. We'll do something different. But yeah, so I do this for a job actually. This is like one of my main things that I push for. So I really know a lot about picking schedules and how to pick classes and stuff like that, which is fun. And I know all of our seniors especially, they all know how to pick classes and like what classes to pick and what classes to avoid. So we'll really be digging into that later. Some big announcements that we have confirmed when State Farm is coming, and they're coming in 2 weeks, right, Champ? The 24th of September.
Yes, sir.
So bring your resumes, be prepared, you know. They're going to talk about interview stuff and what they look for in resumes and all that kind of cool stuff. Isn't that right, Champ?
Yes, sir.
All right, very cool. Yeah, so get excited for that. And then some other things coming up, if my Discord would work. There we go. State Farm, I believe, is coming today. They were coming today. So hope you were there. But they should have their own, they should have a career fair. I think it's I don't know. There should be another one coming up soon, so keep your eye out for that. Usually early September or early October, late September is when they do it. So be prepared for that. It's a great way to get, you know, engaged with grad schools and employers and stuff like that and get internships early on. And then I noticed Champ put in a very cheesy pickup line about DreamWorks in the Discord. That's a great way to get a job at DreamWorks if that's cool for you. And then some other ones, yeah, virtual career fairs coming up, some other stuff. NSA by Kainoa, that's a very cool opportunity. That's like get your security clearance and actually, you know, do some fun stuff. Yeah, did anyone else have any other announcements or anything like that for things coming up? Champ or anybody else?
Make sure you bring your resumes. Have it ready to go. Remember, first impressions count. This is going to be your first one when State Farm comes.
Yeah. Yeah. So our agenda tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to do another one of those programming problems. This is not really a programming problem. Well, it is in some aspect, but it's mostly an interview question. And then we'll be jumping into a little information about classes. And then all our seniors and myself will be available to help you look at your class schedule for next semester or pick your classes for next semester if you haven't done that yet. So, Champ, do you want to get us started on that problem?
All right, let me share my screen real quick. Okay, gross. No. You guys never saw any of these.
Champ was explaining it to us right before this, so.
Yeah, so these guys could understand it, but now we're kind of, you guys never saw anything. Erase that out of your mind, whatever you just saw, just erase it. Okay, so the problem is, I'm gonna copy and paste it in the chat so you guys can see it.
Wait for the recording.
You really need to
Actually, could someone paste it in the chat so they can see it?
Yeah.
While Tyler gets that all pasted up, so the problem is you are climbing a staircase, right? And it takes n amount of steps to reach the top, right? So you have a staircase like this. If you guys have seen this problem, that means you've been trying to like crack out leak code and HackerRank and stuff. But anyways, you have n amount of steps, and each time you can take either one step or you can take 2 steps, right? So you can take 1, or you can take 2. In how many distinct ways can you climb to the top? This is a very, very popular interview question, whiteboard problem for FANG companies. So, and this is usually directed to people who are freshmen and sophomores in college. Because usually by that time you have or are taking discrete math. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes. For this solution, actually, n equals 4, your output, the number of distinct ways should be 5.
Well, it doesn't depend on order, Jake, but 1111 is the same as 1111, right, champ? So no matter
Yeah.
which way you do your ones.
Yep, that's true. So like, for example, 2111 could be the same thing as like 1211 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, those would be different solutions, right?
Yeah, those would be 2 different solutions, but it uses the same amount of the same numbers, right?
Mm-hmm. But you couldn't do 211 twice because you used 2 different single steps or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like for example, like for n equals 4, right? One of the distinct ways you could climb up is 1, 1, 2, right? So you do 1, 1, and then 2. Or another one that you can do is 2, 2, or you could do 1, 2, 1, right?
Give it one more minute, and then if anyone has a solution, let's hear about it, and then Champ can walk us through. Because it is a tricky one. This is not a super trivial problem. But I think everyone could figure it out. It's just hard.
Yeah, when I did this problem, it took me about 30 minutes to come up with a fleshed out solution. 15 to like around there, 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere around there.
Would you say the best way to solve this to go about this problem, Champ, is to just start trying cases and see what the pattern is?
Yep, that's the best way to start seeing it. For 249 kids, one big hint is recursion is involved.
But don't let that confuse you if you don't know what recursion is, because you could still solve it even without having taken 249 yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who thinks they got a solution that they want to share? All right, Josh. What is it? I want to hear.
Wait, what?
Yeah, what's your solution?
What are you talking about?
What do you got, Doug?
I mean, I have a idea. I did
Okay.
not solve it.
What's your idea?
Okay.
It's exactly what was on the screen before.
Damn it, dude.
But I to be fair, I've done this, so I did know of it. But that's the pattern that you find if you do your test cases. If you just keep doing test cases, you will find that pattern, and if you recognize it, you'll see that that's the pattern, and it's Fibonacci for anybody that's not following them or that didn't see it. Yeah.
All right. Who else has got a solution that didn't cheat?
I didn't cheat.
I found the pattern because I Googled it. That's a different form of cheating, Daniel.
That's a different form of cheating. I don't know if they'll let you use Google on the whiteboard interview. Different variations of this problem can be, instead of 1 or 2 steps, could be 1 or 2 or 3, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 1 or 2 or 3, or ... k steps, as long as k steps is less than or equal to n.
All right, champ, you want to walk us through it?
Yep. So basically, if you what I would do first is look at this smaller. Look at it. Look at smaller cases. So do this first, right? See it for 2. See it for 1. See it for 2. See it for 3. Then see it for 4. So you'll know. Okay. Well, if we only can make 1 or 2 steps, there's really only 2 solutions for there's 1 solution for this one, right? And it's one step. 2 is 1, and then 1, or 2. You can agree with that? Okay, so 3 is, you can do 1 and then 2, or you can do 1, 1, 1, or you can do 2 and then 1. Right? For 4, you do 1, 1, 2, or sorry, 2 should be like a lot bigger than that. 1, 1, 2. You can do 1, 1, 1, 1. You can do 2 and then 2. What's the other ones? I think you can do 2, 1, 1, and then 1, 2, 1. That's 5, right? 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yeah, that's 5. And if you notice, and we write down the number of steps down, we'll write down, so there's 1 for n equals 1, there's 2 for n equals 2, 3 for n equals 3, and then 5 for n equals 5. Okay, let's try it. So then, okay, so you look at this and you be like, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So we have 1, 2, and then 3, and then 5. Well, we know that 1, or this one right here, is really just the sum of these two. And you can come to this conclusion because if you look at 3, right, it was really just this one with this one kind of combined, right? Like you kind of just put these two together and it's like, oh, there's overlapping patterns that you can see in here that's within some of the distinct sets of moves that you can make. So given that, right, well, then if it's really just to solve the next puzzle, you just take a piece of the last one and the one before that. That sounds like Fibonacci series, right? You can easily, this Fibonacci series on its own is like, what, a 6-liner? So especially if you use recursion where you say, if n is equal to 0, return 1, and then else return Fibonacci of n minus 1 plus Fibonacci of n minus 2, right? But who knows the pattern for Fibonacci right off the top? So 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, right? And you'll start, and you see this is, the first 2 is given to you already in Fibonacci. And then you look at this, 2 is really just 1 plus 1, right? 3 is really just 2 plus 1. 5 is really just 3 plus 5. 8 is just 5 plus 3. So that's the Fibonacci series. So you can easily just write this in a Python program and just do like, just do what I was saying earlier. But this is the solution to the problem. Now, since you all cheated and saw the solution, what would you do if it was k steps? Okay, let's make it, let's not jump straight to k steps. What would happen if you could also do 1 or 2 or 3 steps? It's no longer the Fibonacci series, right? So what would you need to change about the solution that we have so that you could include a third step? Well, obviously we can see, right? For the first n equals 1 and n equals 2, the third step doesn't even matter, right? For the third one, it adds another solution where you can just jump straight to the top, right? And then if we recall correctly, in some situations, like here, if we just do 3, and then whatever the solution was for this, jump straight to 1, oh crap. Now we're just taking solutions from here, and solutions from here. Easy. F of n equals the same stuff with a plus f of n minus 3. Right? How do you do it for k? Well, just do that same thing. You just chain a bunch of pluses together, right? All the way up to f of n minus k. And you can solve this staircase problem for 1 or 2, 3, ... k steps, as long as k is less than or equal to the amount of steps. So it's a super cool problem. If you were to program this solution, and you know about big O analysis, the runtime of Fibonacci is 2 to the n, right? So if you all know what a 2 to the n graph looks like, it just kind of just shoots up like that. Yeah, that's actually really ass. It's very bad, actually. There, like, if you were to like if someone were to if Amazon were to go to you and it's like, yo, can you just spit out like a staircase problem program for us real quick? We kind of need to run like something. We need to know how many steps it would take or whatever, or how many different ways you can take steps. Yeah, but we want it faster than O to the 2n, 2 to the power of n. Yeah, because this is too slow. Because what if I wanted to do 1,000,000 steps? Yeah, this is 2 to the million. Yeah, whatever that runtime is just going to be some large amount of time, right? Which is, given how much resources Amazon has, they also wouldn't be able to do it. A supercomputer would probably take a very long time to do it also. So for people who haven't taken 249 or haven't taken algorithms yet, there is a solution to bring this number down. And this is a good topic for you all to Google if you don't know it, but we can use this thing called dynamic programming. Basically, summarizing algorithms in like 1 second. You see like these things, right? And basically each of these little bubbles is a recursive call to Fibonacci, right? So this is Fibonacci of n, this is n minus 1, this is n minus 2, and then this one would call n minus 3, n minus 4. This one would do whatever n minus 2 is and stuff. But you'll start to notice like this one has an overlapping problem with this. Like these two resolve to the same solution. So what dynamic programming says is, well, for the problems that we've already solved recursively, right? So say this one right here gets solved first, right? Well, let's put that solution into an array. And then so if another similar problem comes up, so say like it's these two, right? We can easily just access that array at index and just get the value to that solution so that you don't have to waste any computation on creating more recursive calls. That solution is a lot faster. It is O n times the size of whatever this array is, so x.
All right.
A lot faster than O to the 2n. But yeah, that's this week's programming problem. Any questions? Awesome.
Cool. All right. So now I'm going to share my screen on 2 different computers. So this is going to be confusing, but that's fine. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to be talking about how to pick classes and picking the best classes for you. So the real challenge here is, well, I need to take CS classes. Does it matter which ones? Well, yes, it does, because otherwise you might just hate that semester, hate that year if you take 315, algorithms, OS, and parallel all in the same semester. Yeah, so don't do that. So hopefully you're going to learn a little bit from the mistakes of past officers and past people and not do that and learn a little bit better to prepare yourself. So first thing, think about what type of person you are. If you're an early morning person, take those 8 a.m. classes. If you cannot wake up at 8 a.m., those are probably not going to work out for you. So don't do them. I think that's pretty, self-explanatory. But same deal with, classes that go from 5:30 to 7:30 or from 5:30 to 8. Those ones might not be your cup of tea if you want to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Like, you are still in class at that time, basically. And then the other thing is, take classes that interest you. Everyone makes fun of me because I have a history minor and it's really worthless in
History
CS,
minor? Are you kidding me?
but I like history classes, so I keep taking them and I'm going to get a history minor and everyone's going to laugh at me, but it's fine. And then, if you're interested in parallel programming, take a parallel programming class. If you're interested in AI, take the AI class. If you think, I hate AI, maybe that's probably not the class for you. Something to fall back on if that CS degree doesn't work out. That's right, Carter. I'm going to be a history teacher one day. You watch me. Yeah, maybe not. Well, it depends. If you're interested in it, you should still take it, I think. Yeah, same thing with math classes. There's a lot of interesting math classes and stuff like that. And then the other thing is, if you know other people taking the class, if all your friends are in the class, are you going to be able to focus? If, you sit next to Champ every day in 396 and he distracts you with his dumb iPad.
What, dude? I'm just taking notes. You're a hater.
Or is Champ going to be able to help you focus because he takes really good notes and he sends them to you every week? I don't know. Really depends. If you know the people in your class, if you're taking it together, especially those big classes like 249 or 480 can be really useful to take together and, not cheat, but work together on stuff and come up with solutions together and whiteboard problems through. And then the other thing is, if you really like a professor and you know a professor, maybe take the class with them. Maybe if Nakai is teaching 315 and you really like Nakai and you go to his office hours, even though you're not in his classes, maybe, take him for 315 instead of Dory and get that 105% that nobody else got. Yeah. I got 103% in 315.
Wait. I want to just put this out there. If you want to know automata theory, though, don't take it with Nakai. I'm just saying.
I agree.
No, it's so useful. I know all about automata.
Why don't you recommend taking it with Nakai?
Well, yeah, Champ, why don't you tell us?
Dory's way better.
Dory is way better at teaching automata. Dude, I would ask people for help that got those supposed 105% and don't even know how to construct a DFA. You gotta be joking.
Okay, but Champ, I knew what I was doing.
Okay,
I
but
sort
Tyler,
of knew what I was doing too.
You're a different breed.
But I would recommend also taking Dory just because I felt like it was kind of easier in Akai's, but I didn't learn as much as some of the other people did because they had deep knowledge about the topics while I was just like, yeah, I can construct it and do it. Like, that's it. Nakai does make funny jokes,
Name
though.
one automata.
Dory also makes funny jokes, but he can be pretty intimidating to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely not like the Nakai kind of jokes, or he's kind of like, ha 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 ha, white supremacy. Like, that's not him.
Dory's like, go drink a beer after this class. You're gonna need it.
Yeah, and he said, don't make sure for the midterm you have a 12-pack next year. Like that. That's the kind of jokes that Dory would throw.
Yeah. All right. So, couple things that we can do to kind of, quench that. So the first thing that we have is this tool called pair reports. So can someone link pair reports in the chat for me? If not, I can do it later. So pair reports is a very data-driven tool that tells us about the grade distribution of different classes. So I'm going to show you a little bit here. So yeah, so this is an example screenshot that I took out of the pair reports. So it's also called the class grade distribution. I was introduced to it as pair reports. That's what I call it. So it tells you what grades were given out by a professor that semester. So when you're looking at last semester does tend to be pretty bad data because everyone took all their classes with pass-fail instead of ABC letter grades. So it's like skewed in weird ways. Also, it's not an end-all be-all for picking classes. Lots of factors affect what grades were given out, but it's a good point of basis. So looking down here at this graph, we can see, okay, these are all the Calc 1 classes that were taught, these are all the teachers that taught them, and these are the grades they gave out. So, looking at this, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say, okay, who gave out 10 Fs? Nathan Defander, I don't know who that is, but I know that I don't want to take that class. Who gave out the most A's or the least F's? Well, it looks like, maybe somewhere up here, like Daniel Lee Malcolm gave out a lot of B's, so he's okay, but he's, not super great. Well, this guy gave out a lot of A's, Julie Colin Baum. So I think this is a really good tool to look at those classes and see, especially for weirdo, liberal arts classes that you've never heard of the teacher for. For a lot of CS classes, you don't have a lot of choice. You take it with who you take it with, and that's kind of the creek you're up. But yeah, but there's some still ones in there, like 136 with Beverly versus Leverington. I'm sure a lot of you already know who to take it with and who not to take it with, but stuff like that. And then once you've kind of picked those classes again, so the other tool that we have is ratemyprofessor.com, which I'm sure you've all heard of before. So basically, this allows you to leave reviews on professors. So you can just either berate or love a professor, and those are probably the people that are going to leave the reviews. The people that love it or hate it. Nobody in between. There's nobody like, he was okay, but he wasn't amazing. That's very rare. This is also very anecdotal evidence. It's very opinion-based and stuff like that. If you got an F, you're not going to give that guy a 5-star because that seems like, why would you do that? It's publicly available and crowdsourced, which means that someone could totally bomb a professor with like a bazillion accounts and they're not going to do anything. So this is what it looks like. So it's ratemyprofessor.com. So it gives you an overall score of how they were rated, what percentage of people would take them again, and their level of difficulty for classes. This is hard because they teach different classes too. And then they give you a upvoted review. And then you can scroll down for like other reviews. I pulled up Tyler Brock. He's one of my favorite professors. Definitely take him if you get a chance. But he's got some weird stuff going on too. So this is kind of useful in my opinion. It's not perfect, but it's okay. The last thing that I recommend you do is, so a combination of the two is really great. And then a combination of all three things really is good. Asking other people. So like, coming to ACM meetings and being like, hey champ, who did you take for 396? Did you like Lou Larrick? Like, was that a good class for you? Could you understand his accent, or was that too difficult? And then asking other people and asking people higher in your major, and then, asking friends and all that stuff is really useful. So that's kind of what I got. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to show you real quick. I want to show you pair reports and what that looks like. So if I go back fall 2019 and look at CS, or let's look at spring 2020 and look at CS. We can kind of see what the difference between Leverington and Beverly is maybe. So we'll go down and see 136. That's probably what a lot of you are looking at right now. Okay. So in this one, Beverly gave out 21 A's and passed 19 people and failed 13. Well, Michael only failed 5 people and passed 13. So, a little bit of a disparity there. Or if we look at math classes are usually always huge disparities because there's a bazillion professors. 226 is probably a class that a lot of people are taking right now. You can see oh, look, Matthew Fay gave out 9 A's while the other 2 teachers gave out 5. So I don't know about you, but I know who I would want to take. The guy that gives out more A's than the guy that gives out less. So any questions about any of those tools or anything? Cool. So now what we'll do is, this is a great chance. If you have questions about your schedule or anything like that, we're here to ask questions too. For upperclassmen, keep in mind, there are CYB classes being offered again next semester. So if you need those elective credits, those also count for your elective. And then the other one is if you need technical elective credits, Astronomy 201, take that over the winter break. It is such an easy class that I don't know why it's even a class. It really is basically a Quizlet is really what it should be. Yeah, so, ask us questions about your schedule. We're happy to help you make a schedule and look at classes for next year and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I got, hard and fast. Any questions about schedules?
I have a question, Tyler.
Yes, please, Drew.
If I have some sort of conflict or hold on my account that isn't letting me enroll, who should I talk to?
Yeah, so you'll have to talk to your advisor about that.
Who is my advisor?
That's a really great question. So if you're a CS major, which probably all of you are, your advisor probably lost their job this past semester. At least half of them did. So that's a real fun thing too. So you probably have a new one. You can check in Louis. It should say on the side, you can go to like advisors and I can show, maybe I can even show you. Let's see if I can figure that out. My Louis is going to look different than everyone's because I'm an advisor, but that's fine.
Abigail said, I want to graduate in 3 years. Are there any CS classes I should try to take online over the summer? Electives.
Mm-hmm.
Take your CS electives.
Yeah, electives are important. The other thing is you really have there's a 3 tier class of classes that you're gated from. So you have to take 126. You have to take 126, 136, and 249. And once you get past 249, you're really open to try and take any classes at NAU. You can basically take whatever you want. The next one that's really important to get done is 386, and then start working on those upper division credits. Abigail, are you applied CS or regular CS?
Regular.
Regular. Okay. Yeah. So big thing there is you'll have to take 421, which is algorithms, 315, which is automata theory, and 396, which is principles of languages. Don't take all of those in the same semester. At maximum, take 2 in the same semester, but no more than that. Those are hard classes, and you should definitely take automata before you take 396. It'll help you in the first 6 weeks of 396.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Me and Nicholas or Nick can really talk about that one. We died in the first 6 weeks of 396.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to take Dory. Dory goes really into depth versus Nikai, and sometimes Nikai gets distracted. So whereas you take Dory and then you go into 396, you'll be prepared.
Yeah, you'll know all the theory that has to go with like context-free grammars. When you get to that class, you'll learn about this thing about context-free grammars, which is very important for developing programming languages, which is what 396 is basically about. You'll be building like your own compiler, your own interpreter. So
yeah. So how to look for classes, class search, and then you can either do CS or whatever your major is or whatever class you're looking for. I would always just uncheck show open because you want to see all of them. There's not that many, and then scroll through and you can kind of pick what you want. Yeah. The other thing that I really want to emphasize is we don't know what next semester is going to look like still. You could take 315 as an elective. Everyone's going to look at you and go, why are you taking this? But you technically can. There's a lot of stuff like that. The advisors don't know what they're doing really sometimes, and will tell you can't do that, and I'm like, why not? And they're like, well, there's actually no reason you can't do that. So yes,
Or be careful if they tell you need to take more than you need to.
Mm-hmm.
I was told at Pima Community College that I needed a year of chemistry and a year of physics. So I took a year of chemistry, and then halfway through the first semester of physics, I had this god-awful professor, and I had to do the campus across town, and it was 55 minutes away. I found out that I didn't need it. Sorry, just a little rant. Just verify what they say. Double check with your friends, and double check with another advisor if you can.
Mm-hmm. So if you
I would say
there's a couple ways. Depends if you're newly admitted this year or if you were admitted previously, but you can go to academic requirements, my academic requirements, and it's going to yell at me because I have an incomplete right now in my grade book, which is fun, but that's its own world of hate. And this will tell you everything you need to take. So mine's all closed off right now because I've taken everything. Yours won't be. But this is like, oh, you need to take all of these classes. Oh, this is all my grades. That's fun too.
You got a B in 200, bro?
I did. I didn't like Beverly. I don't like Beverly. I don't get along with him.
He rounded me up to an A in that class.
Yeah.
I got an 89.5 in that class. Are you
I had a 88 riding into the or an 87 riding into the final, and he gave us this extra credit assignment, and he never put it in the grade book, and then he put it in the grade book the day of the final, and it would have bumped me up. It bumped me up to a 90, but I failed the final because I was like, well, I can't get high enough to bump myself up or something. Wasn't that like the deal, champ? You remember what I was talking about?
Yeah, like he needed to get like a little over 100% to pass the class.
To pass with an A. I did.
Oh yeah, to pass with an A. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a lot of I do a lot of funky stuff where I do a lot of 1-credit classes. That's fun. Yeah, but this will tell you all the things that you need to take and when you took them, all that stuff. So keep on that. But yeah, I saw some questions in the chat. Let's see. If I'm applied computer science, also this is more of an advisor question, but according to the requirements, it says you need 9 technical units. Yes. So okay, that's what I was getting at. Yes. So this is mine is the old CS requirements, and these are yeah. But if I go here, VS Computer Science, NAU CS requirements here, and then I scroll down to details, this is the current admissions requirements, which is you need technical electives at a 200 level or above, 9 units. So you could take astronomy, bio, geology, GSP, informatics, chem, CS, EE, math, mechanical, stats, and physics. Usually, they will allow you to add CYB in here. And CYB is equivalent to a CS course. So if you have CS 126, that's roughly equivalent to CYB 126. So yeah, you could take a CYB class in here in theory. In reality, you probably want to apply it to your core classes and electives, which is somewhere in here. But maybe you don't have to take electives. No, yeah, CS. So you need 18 CS electives. That's where you should really apply your CYB classes. In here, take that astronomy 201. That's easy. Take a GSP 240. That's an easy course. Take EE 222. That's a great course for programming majors, for any CS major, because that's an intro to programming class for EE students. So it's basically like taking 126 again, except it's 200 level. That's the only thing about it.
Also worth noting is do that right before you take operating systems, because EE222 is all programming in C, and it will make the transition to the operating systems, which is all programming in C, a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other thing about that is stats. Stats 444 and 445. I don't know, is Kainoa here? I don't know if
I'm in
Kainoa's
it right
here.
now. I'm in CS 444. I just completed
you mean
it
stats
today.
444?
Yeah, stats 444. I completed it today. It just finished.
Yeah, yeah. So
Super
that's a
easy.
really easy course because, that's another intro to programming course, except it's at a 400 level for stats majors. So any CS major will, yes, it does. It also does apply for a math minor. Yeah, I'm using it as an application to my math minor as well.
Math 232 is also a pretty good class to take.
232 is a good one for math minors. Yeah. It's pretty easy to get a math minor as a CS major. It's not difficult at all. So if that's something you are all thinking about, you should do it.
Do you want to cover the rumor of the unspoken rule of things you should and shouldn't say with getting the math minor, though? Do you know what I'm referring to?
The 50%, is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. So on my screen here, you can see they say no more than 50% of units used to satisfy major requirements. I've tried to figure this out as many. The advisors like aren't clear on this anyways, and I've tried to figure this out as many times as I possibly can. I don't think this actually is true, because you can't actually. 50% of the units already, more than 50% of the units are already built into the CS major. So there's no way that you could like physically do this the way that they say.
Well,
So,
what they want you to do, so sorry to interrupt, what they want you to do is take a bunch of extra independent math classes, right? So you already have to take a lot because of CS. And Chris Keefe, if any of you know him, figured it out. And he figured out if you take this literally, it's actually easier to get a math minor as an English major, which is what he was, because you're taking just math classes that are unrelated to your program, your major. So what I've heard about this is like, don't ask, don't tell, don't mention it, and you should be good, even though this is a rule. It's like not ever enforced, but
yeah,
who knows?
yeah. So I'm pretty sure Louis' check is for when you graduate is a human check, and I'm pretty sure they don't check actually. So I think when you graduate, you just get it. Like it's not a big deal. Almost all of my classes double dip. I have like 2 that don't, but
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because biomed majors can get the chem minor, and like every chem class that they take goes into the chem minor, but they can get it. So why does it? It doesn't make sense for math.
It has to do with the math department. Because again, I talked with Chris about this, and he actually wrote a letter to them and got a response that was very unhelpful.
I think the basic answer is the math department set it up so that stats majors can't just get math minors for free. I think that's the intention of this wording. Stats and math education majors can't just get math minors for free. So, yeah. What else? Any other questions? Does anyone want their schedule looked at or looked over, or want advice on a class that they're looking at?
Yes, please.
All right, Carter.
Cool.
I'm going to make it so everyone can share their screen. So
Cool.
no NSFW, please.
And one thing, you said that sometimes you can't really pick who you have as a professor. Another thing with CS, especially with electives, is sometimes you just can't pick the time.
Yeah.
I needed an elective. I signed up for graphics because it sounds interesting, and so far it's been fun, but there was only one time, and that was at 8 a.m. So that's that. You just got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. If you really want to take graphics, you got to wake up at 8 a.m. But if graphics is not that important, maybe choose a different elective if you can. Otherwise, sometimes you got to suck it up, especially
the other
CS.
elective is parallel, which is at 5:30 to 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, you either got to be a morning person or an evening person. You can't be neither.
Yeah.
All right, Carter, what we got here? What are we looking at?
So this is just like my academic requirements, and I'm planning on taking CS 480 next semester. But the thing is that I've completed, or at least I should by next semester, I'll be done with all of like my like I'll show you my technical electives, like all that should be done by like this semester. And then I'm planning on probably taking that astrology class over winter. So that'll cover my like basically the rest of my diversity credits, because I think that's a US like ethnic study and then a cultural understanding. So like I should be done with all of those classes. And so all that I'll need to do is my CS electives 300 level, like 300 level plus, and then my core classes. So my question is like, if I'm planning on taking 480, which I've heard is like a really hard class, do you guys have recommendations on maybe how to balance that with like not as hard CS classes, or like classes that count towards an CS elective?
So the big thing that I would say with 480, don't take one of the big 3, which is 315, 421, and 396. You could take like a 399, like an app development or something like that. Something pretty simple and laid back is a good one to take with it. Champ, what else is good? What else is, anyone got any other suggestions?
Let's see. So definitely don't do what I did last semester. But for some people, some of you guys, this is inevitable, and you might have to do this. But last semester I took 480, 396, 315, and I died. I died a lot. So much homework. There was too much homework, and I died. But there are some of the big three, or I would say big four, which is 480, 421, 315, and 396. Some of the big four, there's two that you can take together because it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the ones that you shouldn't take together is like 315 and 421, right? You'll literally just die from just all the theory. There's just too much theory involved.
Gotcha.
But compared to, maybe 480 and 421 is really not that bad. Right.
I took 315 and 396 together, and there's actually a little bit of overlap in those classes. Depending on the way it's taught. I was lucky where what we covered in 315 came up later in 396. For some people, it was flipped. But 396 and 315 together aren't too bad. But the reason those are called the big three is because they're the big three theory classes you have to take. So if you know you're somebody that struggles with theory, don't load those on. 396 is probably the most practical because you're actually doing programming in it, but sometimes it can be fairly wonky. I also had Muhammad, who's not here anymore, and he taught it a little differently, so I might not be the best person to speak to that.
Gotcha.
But then as far as electives to take, did I hear you ask about that?
Yeah.
So Leverington said this, and he was right, and I'm glad I'm doing it. He said, take parallel programming. I'd love to tell you it's the future, but it's not, it's the past. And his point was, it's one of those things that's important, it's standard, and you need to know. And that's why I signed up for it. And it's pretty interesting. It gets you thinking in a different way than you otherwise would. It is one of those things that he is right. It is the past. It's not some big, sexy, up and coming field, but it is a field that you just need to know.
For sure. That's what I think you said that too, Champ, the other day, is that you should take parallel programming because it's a pretty good class.
I'm almost surprised it's not required, to be honest.
I'm surprised too that it's not required, but it makes sense. In some fields, you don't need parallel programming.
Database is a good one to take. That's a pretty laid back class. You'll do well in that one.
That's
CS
another
301, that class is a cakewalk. Take that as soon as you can.
Okay.
Sit through it. Laugh at the guy that argues with the professor because it's funny, but you'll
Be
do
the
fine.
guy that argues with the professor. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun for everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun for me too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That was one of the better classes that I've taken.
Those Dr. Odd quotes that I've been posting in the professor quotes, that's where those quotes come from that class.
From this
that
one?
301 class. Yep.
Oh, okay.
The
That's
database
fun.
is also another one that's like, again, not very exciting, but kind of necessary. I got a job working for Dr. Dory in his lab, and like, if it hadn't been for databases, I would have been more lost than I was, because if you're doing anything that you could like even loosely classify as full stack or web development, you will be touching databases, and understanding relationships will make your life easier.
So I just want to ask a question real quick. So is this schedule right now, is this a solid schedule?
This is what I have.
This is
my schedule.
So this is a good base right here. The problem is right now that I see you're taking 11 units, which if you're depending on scholarships or anything like that, or graduating on time, 11 units is not going to get you there.
Yeah, I got you. I got the answer. Yoga class.
Yeah.
Boom.
So that's the other thing is if you're at 11 like this, you could take a fit class, which is just go exercise, at the gym, which is like, you should do that anyways.
Yeah. Well, my plan was to get. I took yoga last year. It was actually pretty cool.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, I did rock climbing too.
Yeah, that's me this semester.
It's pretty dope.
Yoga and rock climbing to keep me full time.
Yeah.
Schedule, I would take advanced web programming, because databases and advanced web programming are going to be similar with MySQL in dealing with databases.
So that might be like a good addition to put into here.
Yeah, and advanced web programming really isn't that hard. At least it wasn't with Mom.
It's doable. Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what like language? So I know you said SQL. Is there any other language focus?
So basically, it's going to be from 212. You're going to have your HTML, your CSS. I don't remember much JavaScript. You're going to have PHP, which is how you interact with the databases.
Yeah.
MySQL inside of that tag.
Is
And
advanced,
then
advanced web isn't being offered next semester, I don't think, is it?
that I do not know. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
that's the other thing is what's offered. Like, you
Yeah.
know, you got to take what's offered.
Yeah.
So looking at what's offered here, I think, yeah, embedded testing and network analysis. Those are the only two electives.
When
You
did
know
we
what you
have
could
testing?
take? You could just take a liberal studies or something else that you need, some other kind of weirdo class. Like you could take that stats class or something like that. EE222 is not a very heavy class when I took it. I took it with Dr. Ott. My partner was an EE major and he struggled. I did not. It was like totally fine for me, but he did not do well.
Did Odd pair every CS with an EE?
Yeah, that was his intention.
What was funny is we got transferred rooms. So he was like, all the CS students get up and go sit down. And then he had all the engineering students get up and you could hear him tell them like, okay, now go find a partner. And like, it was just a classroom full of half empty seats waiting for their EE counterpart. That's odd.
How bad would it be if I took 396, 480, and 345 together? Depends. So you're taking one more on top of that? Depends what that last class is. Those three together, I would say, are not terrible. It's totally doable. But it depends what that next one is that you add. Jake's sharing his screen. Okay, what are we looking here, Jake? Let's see. 301, 345, 386. 386 is another one that you got to get out of the way before you can take capstone. 480 and 222. I think that's a pretty good schedule. Yeah, I think
looks really good.
386, FYI, can get pretty heavy at times.
Oh my God, you're taking it with Beverly?
Yeah, he has Beverly.
Oh God.
Oh, what's the deal with that?
Oh God.
Yeah,
That
fill
class
me
is
in too. That's who I have.
so
Yeah, what's
boring.
I would take it more so with what's his name, Dr. Marco.
Jerosa.
You know what? If you want to sleep through software engineering, just take Beverly.
If it's sleeping though, is it like easy sleep or is it like class is boring but you're still gonna learn this stuff? Like I want to learn it, but at the same time, like what's the difficulty?
I would
like,
take it with Marco then if you really want to get into it.
Yeah, I took it with Marco, and we went a lot more in depth with stuff than what I've heard from Beverly's class.
Marco's also kind of a dry lecturer, but he does have a passion for it, and he's really willing to help his students.
Yeah, and then you actually develop in the team to create the MVP. It seems like we got farther in the development cycle than most teams did for Beverly's, but that's just what I heard.
I
You
don't
didn't even have an
know.
MVP.
Yeah, we developed our MVP.
I
Yeah, it was spaghetti code for sure.
That's what MVP stands for, right? Spaghetti code.
I don't actually know if it's offered by that guy right now. I think the only class, it might be just because it's pretty early on, but right now it looks like it's only offered with Beverly.
And sometimes
I
that's
know
just the way it is.
over the summer as well, Anna Steinmacher, who is Igor Steinmacher's wife.
Alrighty then.
All right. Just gonna go ahead and mute you real quick.
Yep, we gotta mute you. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah,
If
so
you're gonna do that to my ears, at least take me out, Chad. Damn.
Anna has taught it once or twice, I think, and I don't know how decent of a teacher she is, but she's a really great research mentor. So, you know, she's really nice and very, you know, willing to work with students and stuff like that. And I'm sure that she would be, you know, same kind of vein as Jerosa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As far as I know, the Steinmachers, they're really like more people. They really just want to get to know who you are as a person and really understand your skills. So going into office hours and talking with them, they're super cool.
What else? Anyone else got questions?
What are the capstone classes? What are the two classes for that again?
Yeah, so two classes you have to take in succession, back to back, 476 and 486C.
For sure.
The first 476 says it's 2 credits, counted as 4 in your schedule. And then 486 says it's 4 credits, counted as 6 in your schedule. Because that's how much time you'll be spending.
Okay, I gotcha. Because I've heard that you should try to get 480 out of the way before your before that. So that's why I was like, I'm just gonna try to get that out of the way next semester. Cool.
With what you had already, Jake, I think what you had was perfect. Yeah, I wouldn't try and add to that or remove from it.
Tyler,
Yeah.
software engineering 386, is that a prereq or co-req for capstone?
So it is a co-req for 476, I believe, but a prereq for 486. So you definitely can't take it your last semester.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Are there
it's a
any
co-req.
prereqs for capstone?
249. It depends on what your major is. If you're applied, it's different. If you're CS, it's different.
You really had to throw that one, huh? It's fucked up, Tyler. Oh man.
Oh wait, no. Okay, so it says 386 is a prereq for capstone then, for 476.
Where are you looking? Because I'm looking at 476, not 476C, and it
There is no
also says
476.
315 and 396 are prereqs.
Well, it makes sense that 386 are pre-rec because you work on documentation, which is mainly your first semester.
386 with the greatest year. Yeah. So and then so you need 386 before you take it. However, I feel like there's people in there that don't have 386 that said that. I don't know. Anyways,
I think you can get like it from your counselor. You can get like approval for it to take it at the same time.
Yeah, you can get overridden into it.
And then co-recs or prereqs are 315 and 396 for regular CS majors, and if you're applied, the co-recs or prereqs are 212 and 345. And those are really all. I'm pretty sure you can get those overridden pretty easily, like if you needed to. Anything is basically like, especially for CYB classes or whatever, it'll say you can't enroll in these. Just email your advisor and they'll be like, oh yeah, for sure.
But for the sake of your teammates, take 386 before you do capstone.
There's people in capstone that haven't taken 386. I know.
Dude, there's some people in capstone that don't even know how to program.
Don't say that. Don't do that to me.
But
I guess the advantage is it's not terrible. Like, it's not optimal, but it's not terrible because you'll be getting exposed from software engineering from two sides, which is really good.
Jake asks, what's 386 like?
Boring.
Yeah. I would call it like that's like the class where you pretend that you're a developer. Like you pretend like you're doing stuff. And then like 476 is where you're like, okay, now we're actually doing stuff.
It's supposed to be like project driven, isn't it? Like you work on a big project, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, okay, but like you're pretending to work on a big project.
Yeah. 386
that's Beverly.
Is the business side of computer science. It's really what are the practices that software engineers do in industry. Very, very boring.
But important.
But it's like 345, a necessary evil. You have to sit through it.
What else? Any other questions?
Yeah, a lot of it's agile.
Yeah. As if there's any part of the semester that you need to like pay attention to, it's TDD and agile methodologies. If you don't know any of those coming out of a software engineering class, and you're the person that's interviewing you for your job is like, so do you know agile? I've seen you've taken software engineering. You're like, I've never heard of agile. Yeah, say bye-bye to that job.
Also,
you at least understand them, even if you don't get the opportunity to like practice them.
No, that's like 2-week splits, right?
No, well, it's just a way of doing a project. Yeah, it doesn't. But sprints are involved in it.
Or sprints, that's
so
what the word is.
I will post. It's directed. The first part is about TDD and agile, and then it turns into a Ruby on Rails testing thing that I've been using. But it is this great document about the development of testing in computer science and how TDD and the extension of which is behavior-driven development, came about, and how agile incorporates that. And I can post that in the general. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone got any questions about their schedule?
What's agile?
You'll learn in 386, champ. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. If nobody's got anything else, I think that's all we got. Oh, off-topic question. Okay. Let's see what we got. Maybe. Home. Okay. Okay. So now we're getting into this is just my regular job now. So yes. The big thing to do with homesickness is make sure you establish a community here at NAU. And the big way to do that is, make friends. And well, how do you make friends? You join clubs. And how do you, become active in those clubs? And then, once you're talking to other people and, interacting with other people, I think you'll have a lot less of that. But there's really no way to get rid of it completely. And it's good to have some homesickness, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. Does anyone else have any other tips that they want to throw out? I always say join an organization.
My freshman year, I had a little bit of homesickness, but not that much. But it's really my sophomore year when I really started to get a lot of homesickness. And really, what I did is just I went out and tried to find something that I liked about here that makes me want to come back. For me, it was friends. But for a lot of people, it could be something else. Like, some people really like the hikes up here. Some people really like, well, there's COVID, so it's kind of hard. But, there's like some people like going to the bars and stuff. So,
yeah,
really find something that you like doing. Yeah, homesickness sucks, but, I think over time, I've just gotten to the point where I don't even want to go back home anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could care less if I go home or not. Yeah, Jacob's pointing at himself. Look, he's like, yeah, me, dude, me. Yeah, there's gonna be a point, Abigail, where you're gonna be like, dude, you'll appreciate like the freedom that you get from away from your parents and stuff.
Yeah,
you'll really appreciate it.
So Abigail, for some backstory, my job is I work as a mentor for out-of-state students, and I am an out-of-state student, and I basically help out-of-state freshmen adapt to NAU and their life at NAU. And the big thing is, making sure, go to events, do stuff, be active, even if they're like sucky Zoom events right now, which are, kind of crappy. Hey, go to it, do it, it's what you make of it, if you sit at home on your ass and complain that there's nothing going on, that's on you. NAU does tons of stuff. Like, I know my department, we have a thing going on every week, and it's on you if you don't go to those things.
Yeah, number one thing is to get involved, and if you think you're involved, you're probably not as involved as you should be.
Mm-hmm. Until you're working 3 jobs and president of 2 clubs, you're not involved.
Yeah, like I have a friend who like started up, like she's the president of 3 clubs. Her capstone was like this mental health thing, like this mental health support squad thing. And, I don't think anyone can ever be as involved as her or Tyler,
Yeah. And the other thing is like, if you're ever like bored, throw in ACM. Does anyone want to play Fall Guys? Because if I didn't have 85 hours a week of work, I'm gonna play with you because that game is funny as hell. But people want to do stuff. Like everyone is like, I want to do stuff. Nobody wants to Among Us. Yeah, Nicholas has got you exactly. Anything else I missed?
If you're a competitor, if you're into video games, this is a plug. I'm gonna be a trader real quick. But if you're into games. And you're interested in like finding games to play with people, NAU has a recognized esports club on campus. And they have a really good community of people. They do stuff with, they have, if you're good at playing video games, Like you're like super competitive, top 0.1%. You know, they have professional teams and you can win lots of money. I used to be on the Overwatch team, and if you won first place, each player got $5,000. Insane, right? NAU is starting to become more serious. You know, I know GCU is giving out full rides for people that can play for their esports teams. You know, hopefully one day NAU will get to that point. But you know, there's that club too.
Yeah,
Super
Champ, just
cool.
calm down. They gave them like $50,000 and they gave us zero. So
Yeah, but
they
I
give
mean,
us money. We don't like them.
honestly, I think that's because all the other Arizona schools are giving a fuck ton of money to their esports clubs too. Genji main here, he's garbage Genji, don't talk to him.
I am garbage Genji. Arisa's better.
Women
There's a
who
lot of
compete-
great
I'm not a
clubs
girl,
to get
Shelby.
involved and engaged. So,
It's not
you know,
for you, champ.
go join a bunch of
Wow.
women who compute. What was the
Can
other
I
one
join
just
that?
there?
Can I join
Smash.
Women Who Compute?
I mean,
Can
go
I-
ahead.
Can I pretend to be a woman who computes?
We would appreciate your internship opportunities.
They have to check.
I'm the internship and scholarship share, and I've been stealing them from you. I just
What the
Yeah.
fuck? No way, dude.
A
You know
double
what?
agent.
I have to kick Shelby off the server, guys.
No.
You guys know-
Just when you at everyone, it does everyone but Shelby.
Yeah, I'll just do at here, but kick Shelby out. Like,
Yeah.
just joking. Oh, that's another thing too. Job opportunities. Kainoa sent me two already. It's the virtual career fair and the NSA one. Really like ask us, like post in general, like does anyone know like any tips for going into a career fair? How do I guarantee a good first impression?
I maybe have a tip from this morning with State Farms, and that's show up early. I don't know how the other ones are going to be held, but they were completely overwhelmed. I kept getting issues that they were having, like notifications that they were having connection issues and such. And I was like a very brief 10-minute, not even like conversation, but text conversation with a person. So very inefficient use of time. So
I was gonna say, you got 10 minutes. I got like 2.
Sorry, what'd you say, Nick?
I was saying you got 10 minutes. I got like 2.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I got in and I got 2 and he extended it. But show up early, and that's the best piece of advice I can give you with these virtual ones from my like bad 15 minutes this morning. And also just recognize that like you kind of have to roll with the punches with COVID. If you haven't figured that out by now, like it's time to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of people here who's had internships. Like, I know Kainoa has had internships. I've had multiple internships. There's a lot of people here who's done undergraduate research. You know, if you're looking for stuff to do, reach out to these people. I didn't make this role called researcher or this role called alumni so that no one could message them. Network, that's your number one. If you can network and get those people who are in industry or who are in research to put in a good word for you, you're already that many steps ahead of someone that's just already sending their first email to someone, right? Yes, other students are the best resource. I got my undergraduate research from this guy that works at State Farms named Stephen White, that scrub. He's the one that got me in. He said send an email to this guy and say that you know me and that I recommend you. I was like, okay, I did. I got an email the next day for a meeting with him, and then next thing you know, I was doing undergraduate research.
The only reason why I got my research was because Champ's research boss liked me, but he didn't want me for his, so his wife hired me.
Right?
I got my research from Champ, knowing Champ, and
exactly,
yeah.
I'm gonna say it's okay if you don't know somebody, because I got mine by walking into Dr. D's office and introducing myself.
And
and that's what some people have to do.
Initiative as well.
Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, even reaching out to me is taking initiative, right? Because you know, someone, especially one of the officers and the TAs and SIs, they know someone that they can forward you to. and use that as a plug. Be like, like when they give you an email or something, they said, oh, I got your contact information from, I don't know, from Melissa or something, right? Who's an SI for CS 126. She recommended me to go to you for such and such, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any faculty doing any CS informatics undergraduate research related to climate change or biology, PMI?
I'm sure there are, but go to 6 research and read through the projects. Like they're all listed there, and they'll tell you exactly what they're all doing.
Oh, well, yeah, Shelby, you bring up a good point. It's not specifically climate change. Are you talking about the Flood Aware project? She might be gone. I don't know. Reading Shelby's message, Dr. Dory is doing something called Flood Aware that I'm sort of involved with. It's not my main thing, but essentially he is, and it's worth reaching out. I mean, I could reach out to see if he needs more help, but essentially what it is monitoring floods through cameras in a city, and also scraping. One of my friends is putting together some sort of scraper that goes through people's tweets to see where flooding is. And then the long-term goal is to be able to develop an app that uses your location to tell you if there's flooding in your area. That's not directly related to climate change because floods have just been happening for a while. But as far as biology goes, Chris Keefe in the bioinformatics lab is working with biology. They're studying the microbiome of your gut and all the different benefits that it has. And they're doing a lot of big data stuff with Python and some pretty cool work as well. And they're constantly hiring. Well, I say constantly, not as in 24/7, every single week of the year, but they are regularly hiring. They don't have like a season. Stuff just pops up. So it's always worth checking in. And if you have Python experience and know how to do a tech interview, you would be good to go. How would I get into undergraduate research? There's an undergraduate research symposium coming up, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. There should be. The other thing that I would recommend, Jake, and this is for everyone, there's a page on the 6 website that tells about all the professors and the research they're doing. Read through it. Pick one that you like. If you would identify with that professor and what they're doing, email them and say, hey, I noticed you're doing research on this. This is really interesting for me. Can I do undergraduate research for you? And they might say, no, I don't need you this semester, but maybe next semester, or your research mentor is always looking for people. Yeah, exactly. It's really easy to get into it, usually because undergraduate research is basically free to the researcher. They just get extra help for free. Like they don't have to pay anything or anything like that, which is really nice for them.
If, depending on the program, it's through interns to scholars, you don't get paid, but they have...
No, you do get paid through interns to scholars.
No, that's right. You do get paid. You don't get credit.
Yeah.
Even if you want to, which I asked because I wanted credit. That's what I'm thinking of. With interns to scholars, and there's a limited amount of pay. So with those, they are a little bit more competitive.
And really not even. I missed an email from a professor for 6 weeks, and then they emailed me back, do you still want the job? And I was like, oh, I guess so. And then I just got it. Like, it's really not hard.
And it can turn into a potentially full-time position, which is what mine did. I started off as interns to scholars and then got a big fat $6 an hour pay raise. And then now like developing software.
I thought you were gonna say you got a big fat $6 an hour. You're like, oh.
Hey, for a pay raise at NAU, yeah. Okay, shut up, you State Farm interns. Like,
okay.
What do you?
No, I thought you were trying to say like you get paid $6 an hour.
No, I get 16.
Oh, that's real.
That's real spicy, bro. That's real spicy.
It went from 10 to 16. So. As
right.
far as
so goes, I'm going to stop the recording there, and then